Okay, you guys win. I have done this a lot, and that is the warmest greeting I have ever gotten. Thank you so much for being here. You, Joni, are not unlike my mother, who has no idea what I do for a living, but she's great, and she listens to the podcast and is supportive anyway. So it is lovely to be here with you guys. I have got a lot of slides. I have got a lot of stories about incredible people doing incredible things in this work, and I just want to share it and give it all to you. So, but I'm going to go really quick because there's a lot to cover, and so I want you to get to know kind of We're for Good, because 2.5 years ago, my co-founder, who I hired 20 years ago to be my graphic design intern at Oklahoma State University's foundation, came up with this crazy idea, and he said, we're tired of how slow nonprofit's moving. We're tired of how scarce it is. It's in scarcity mindset. What if we flip the script entirely and we had an inclusive conversation steeped in equity and innovation and what's working and what's modern, and what if we gave it to everybody for free? Like, what could we do? And we think we could unlock what we call an impact uprising, which is this beautiful community of people, not just in the nonprofit sector, but in social impact, and your stay-at-home mom who's in her yoga pants, and the busy executive who's running his United Way campaign, and the philanthropist giving $20 million. What if we all came together on a level playing field and we talked about what's working? So we quit our jobs, our nice high-paying jobs in healthcare philanthropy, started a podcast in August of 2020. Our parents thought we'd lost our minds because we have independent families, 6 children together. John and I are not married. I have to say that every single time. And we said, let's start a conversation and let's bring everybody to the table. And people who've not had a voice, let's give them a voice. And let's not play in our own sandbox and nonprofit. Let's go to for-profit. Let's go to entrepreneurs. Let's go to what's working in government and NGOs, and let's collect these conversations and figure out what people are doing that is actually really working. Shocked the heck out of us. We were #1 debut in the nonprofit category. We were hoping to get there in the first 5 years. We got there day 1, very lucky, but we are marketers disguised as fundraisers. I'm a writer, John's a graphic designer, but we are ridiculous idealists. And we're human beings with feelings, and we're parents, and we're people that believe in missions. And so we poured all that in, and we were just asking, is everybody ready to evolve, to like get into this modern new world? So I'm gonna go through these pretty quick. But here's what I want you guys to think about, and this is how these slides are going to be broken down. We're going to talk about 9 trends that we see coming right now. And this is curated from 418 episodes. We do 3 episodes a week, sometimes 5 episodes a week if we have a theme week, and we are charting content very quickly. And it's all steeped in pandemic and beyond of what's working. And so we want to talk about, what does it mean? Why does it matter? Who's doing it really well that you could go check out and go reach out to them? And P.S., everybody I'm going to talk about wants you to reach out to them and talk to them about their framework or their case study. And then we're going to give you some pro tips to put it into action, because We're for Good is a community. It's a democratic, unpurchased by venture capitalists. It is a community for the people, and all of our guests, all of our topics come from the community up, and everything is to be shared. And so these are your top 10. If you are somebody who is a list maker, if you want to take a picture, I'm going to go through it really fast. But these are the things that we have found are cutting through right now, not just in nonprofit, not just in social impact, but what's happening in media, what's happening in the world right now. And I'm going to start with prioritizing self-growth, because you are here right now, you're doing it. I'm like, pat yourself on the back. I don't want to be a kindergarten teacher, but way to go. Like, the fact that you are here learning and prioritizing professional development, what's working right now, is absolutely essential to being able to connect with human beings who are now in a digital evolution online. And so what do I mean by that? It means that if you want to start to embrace it, it's going to start with you as a human being. And it starts within you, asking yourself, what am I about? What are my values? How does that show up in my work? And we talk about, how do you get a roadmap to really crystallize this self-growth? And P.S., I will totally give you these slides and everything in it. You can have everything of mine anytime I ever talk. You are welcome to everything of mine. And it's really about, how are you celebrating where you as a human being, where your mission is right now? First of all, if you have a nonprofit and you survive COVID, Congratulations. Bravo, you all have done it, and you deserve a mighty pat on the back because it was hard. And then we want you to set intentions to align your habits to actions. What are you doing that slows you down? We've got to set some habits that help us move much faster. How in the heck do we do 3 podcasts a week? Because I'm a mom of 2. My business partner, John, is a dad to 2 sets of twins. We got busy lives. And it's really about, we batch on Thursday. 4 episodes, podcast episodes. We do all of our episodes, we do our show notes, we do our marketing, we do everything in one day, and that is how we're able to do 3. How do you set intentions and habits so that things work easier? Are you looking at AI to do your work a little bit easier? I talked to somebody the other day, and they have an AI chatbot as their new secretary at their board, and they takes everything in the board room, it records everything, everybody says, it puts it into minutes, and boom, it sends out, and no one's doing it. What an easy hack and a habit that we can employ that saves us time and energy. Are you advocating for yourself? And I mean by, are you advocating for your pay? And P.S., we have a whole series on how to advocate for pay, leave, and benefit in nonprofit because it is a massive problem. Are you advocating for what you need to get your job done? Are you advocating for your professional development, for your growth, for your mental health? And then, are you intentionally creating space to do the thing that you want to do, to be creative, to partner differently, to be open to new experiences, and don't give yourself a deadline. We work in the antithesis of be free and think, and we're always on the KPI, and we always have a million tactics. But if you have a dream and a vision, and you're trying to grow yourself, you need to not set a deadline. You need to put something on your calendar every month and say, okay, for an hour, I'm going to watch this webinar. For this hour, the second Tuesday of the month from 9 to 10, I am going to read blog posts about this one particular thing I'm building. Maybe it's a monthly giving campaign, or maybe I'm trying to get my campaign marketing up. You've got to set intentions for that and align. And then share what you're learning. There is something that we're not doing in nonprofit when somebody goes and learns and comes back and knowledge shares that. Because all of a sudden when you do that, wisdom is shared, you get partners for what you're doing, and you get like some buy-in from your leader that says, oh, that was actually pretty valuable. I'm glad I sent her to that. So I want to introduce you to Tanisha Nash-Laird. At the time she came onto our podcast, she was the CEO of the Newark Symphony Hall in New Jersey. And when she came into this role, she said they had a huge campaign in front of them, $50 million, and the first thing she said was, I'm going to sit down with every single one of my staff and ask them what they need. And I'm going to build a professional development plan for every single one of them to get to where they need to go. And that's how she started her executive director role. All of a sudden, her people were bought in. They were learning. They were all growing to not only the campaign goal, but to their areas of expertise. And she said, other people might have looked at it and thought that was a barrier. How can I do that from a budget standpoint? I got so much buy-in from my people because I saw them as human beings. I didn't come in and bring my itinerary. I came in and I had open hands and open ears, and I used what I could to further them because I know it furthers the mission. So here's some of your pro tips. 1, I want you to release that burden that we put on ourselves in nonprofit, that we're not worthy, that we don't have time for this. There are too many other things that demand our attention, and no, you are worthy of being invested in, growing as a human being and as a professional. And I would just say make a 1% shift. If you want to do one thing differently in this area, which you're here today, please go for that cohort. You got the code to join the Chick-fil-A cohort. Go for it. What an incredible self-growth opportunity. Make a 1% shift. When you get back to the office, try something different. And whatever you learn, take that knowledge back and share it, because that is going to have a compounding ripple effect to the team. Okay, who here has seen some mighty trust-based philanthropy? I mean, anybody watching Mackenzie Scott right now with what she's doing, granting these massive gifts and saying, hey, it's unrestricted, use it however you want, because I trust you as the people on the front lines to do with this what you will. We have heard so many incredible stories on the podcast of Mackenzie Scott gifts and others like it, where people come in, either it's a corporation, a philanthropist, and say, here, let's empower you. And the stories of what nonprofits are doing to rise shows that trust-based philanthropy is very much a growing movement right now. And we heard trust. We did an audit on all of our transcripts of our podcasts, and it's been mentioned 842 times, 418 episodes. It is one of the most mentioned words on our podcast, because if you don't have trust, then they're not going to give. They're not going to show up. And we saw this really scary stat that came out last year, the Edelman Trust Barometer. The second straight year, we are perceived as less trustworthy than corporations. And as a nonprofit purist here, I say, how can that possibly be? Well, part of it is marketing. And we don't have the budget to compete with that, though I'm going to give you some tips on that too. But it's really about how are we showing up transparently. So, oh my gosh, look how old this is. That was a slide from at least last season. So we've gotten that many more times, up to 842. But building trust within our cultures starts with us. If you're a leader in an organization, what are you doing to make sure that you're building spaces of psychological safety, open doors where people feel comfortable to come in and talk to you? How are you initiating difficult conversations and giving someone on the other end dignity? How are you giving them support? You do it by building trust with them and saying I'm sorry, saying I didn't know, how can I help you with that? I think that we're seeing an imbalance of power in nonprofit, and it's starting to switch the other way, which is great, because it feels like the C-suite has had a lot of power in a lot of our nonprofits, and we're seeing leaders rise up and say, we're going to give equal power to our employees, and we're seeing the culture soar as a result of that. I recommend going to Ted Vaughn's keynote. He's going to talk about this, culture and brand next, and why they're absolutely paramount to being connected. And it's about living your values out loud. Our number one value of our company is everyone matters. And if you come in thinking that everyone matters and you're not judging their story, where they've been, their lived experience, something else changes. And our last value, we have 8, is community is everything. And we're going to bake everything in community, and we're going to give everything we can away, because we know that's going to help good ripple faster. And so this is Ana Maria Arguelagos, and she's the executive director of Hispanics in Philanthropy. She came on the podcast. She talks about her McKinsey Scott gift, and she says she gave us this gift, and we were literally almost out of money during the pandemic, because everyone kept saying, give my gift to people on the front line. And all of us running nonprofits know we still have operational support. We still have to pay people. We still have to be a part of keeping the lights on. And she said, this gift allowed us to run. And we're going to run because the funding allowed us to hire the best people who are creative, smart, and organized. We took risks and built programs that we'd never been allowed to. And guess what? HIP had a massive surge the year after that and raised almost double what they raised before without the McKinsey Scott gift, because they had latitude and leverage to really dive into innovation and creativity. So how do we begin with this? Look around and say, where can we begin to build better trust? And is it within how you're being transparent on your website or your socials? Are you only putting great news out? Are you talking about the hard stuff too, and allowing your donors to come in and be a part of those solutions? I think authenticity and vulnerability are the biggest hallmarks of what we have found works right now in connecting with human beings. Your human frailty and your vulnerability are key to that. If you trust somebody and yourself, your confidence is going to follow, because people are going to be giving you feedback about that. And having open feedback loops is really going to enhance that, not just with your donors. And I want to emphasize that. Your volunteers, your social media followers, your network is bigger than just your donors. And you have prospects in there, you have corporations in there, you have people who are just what we call rabid fans of your mission. And the more you can share with them, the trust that just keeps building. And I think the more content that you're pushing out, trust builds more exponentially. So, and then you just got to practice that authentic communication. So, and for each of these, I don't think I said this, but we have a playlist if you want to dive into trust-based philanthropy and understanding who's doing it well, how are they doing it. You can go to our website, which I'll give at the very end. Okay. Let's talk about giving as identity. I'm so excited about this one, guys. How many of you have a child like I do? My child is 12. She's an environmentalist in the middle of Oklahoma, which has got to be the biggest oxymoron ever. And she says, Mom, I don't want to wear a Nike shirt anymore. I want my One Tree Planted shirt, or I want my Plastic Oceans, because I want people to know that that's what Sophia is about. And Nike doesn't say what I'm about, and I want people to know that I'm an environmentalist. And she said that to me about 1.5 years ago, and I went, oh my gosh, I see this playing out so often in our community, because how we see ourselves, how we want to be seen, informs the brands and the causes that we align with. How many people love Patagonia after the last year? Who loves them more after the last year when their founder bequeathed his entire $1 billion whatever back to the environment? I mean, does that make you want to buy Patagonia a little bit more? I think so too, same with me. And it's because we want to move beyond just this basic affinity to saying, oh, they care about the environment, they care about human beings. I want to rep that company or that brand because that is what I stand for as well. And so we're seeing this really burgeon as a new trend for us. If you're into reading and you love books, there's a fabulous new book out called The Generosity Crisis by Nathan Chappell and Brian Crimmins. And this is like the one sentence cliff notes on it. The biggest thing that they're seeing, as we all have seen, is that generosity is dropping at a pretty alarming rate right now. But they're seeing that radical connection is the antidote to that drop right now, because it leads us to becoming part of identity. How are you engaging with your people? How are you talking about your values? How are you talking what you stand for? So we're looking at like conscious consumerisms. A lot of corporations are doing this. They're looking at their ESGs right now. They're trying to align like, hey, we're Nike and we care about these 5 things in hunger, and all of a sudden somebody's not giving to their hunger nonprofit anymore because Nike's doing such a bang-up job of talking about how they're aligned with hunger if you buy their products. And so you can see the rub, and we're like, nonprofits, get out there and tell us what you've got, because we want to see what you all can do in this space. Gen Z is going to be your playground. Your people, they want to rep these causes, they know how to get them on social media, and it's really an era where everybody can be a philanthropist. And so really want you to think about like the FarmLink project. These are 2 kids, I say kids because I'm in my 40s, they're 23 and 24, and they started this incredible organization called FarmLink where they take excess food from rural areas and they move it into urban areas. And they did a massive Giving is Identity play to it. And guess what? They've been on Ellen, they were on People magazine last week. This is Gen Z's new charity water. They love this nonprofit organization because they knew that Gen Z would want to be connected to hunger in a unique way. So look at your Giving Monthly program. Are you giving it a name? I just mentioned charity water. They have the well, or the spring, which is $25 million a year generated through people giving $30 a month or less. 72,000 monthly donors who just want to rep the charity water brand. That is an easy way. Give them a sense of belonging and identity. Make it easy to rep your cause. Like put your logo out there, put it on clothing. Let's get things going. Let's get people excited about your brand. Okay, I'm on 4 and they told me I've got to move through this a little bit faster, so I'm going to be going very quickly and I'm going to skip my examples. Okay, marketing is mission. I told you this was coming. Marketing is no longer a facet of your business. It is your mission manifested. And what I mean right now is we've got to be putting marketing into our budgets because it is the only way that we can connect in a digital global world. How are you using ethical storytelling? Are you talking to people about how they want to be represented as they're linked to your cause? Are you putting dignity into those questions and making them feel seen and like a part of the solution and not somebody who is being manipulated or used for their story? When you co-build, it's a different ball game. And the way that you use your words and tell your story is going to be interesting. And we don't all consume those stories in the same way. We may have used to have just been reading it in our university magazines or maybe our email newsletters. Today, it's on TikTok. For Gen Z, boomers are still wanting your direct mail piece, and it's really about investing and diversifying on that. Okay, I'm going to skip my example and just get to ethical storytelling. How you're going to live out your missions and the words and the dignity you bring matters, because those words, especially the value ones, will connect to people. When I say, I believe in a believer more than a donor. I want someone who is a believer, because a donor is a transactional gift. A believer shows up in all ways. They show up to give, they use their voice, they post it on Facebook, they do a peer fundraising campaign, and they show up. We are trying to ignite those rabid fans by using marketing as mission. Okay, if you hear nothing I say today, community is core. How are you gathering community in your organization? It is no longer the stream of if we build it, they will come. They're here. How are we gathering them? True community building is with people, co-building beside people. And discovering these solutions together is really going to advance your mission. So think of community as a business. How are you engaging regularly with people online, with people who are in your database? How are you seeing them and personalizing? We want to create an authentic shift to where they're just hearing from us, where they're giving us feedback, where they can hang out in our spaces. We have a community, it's at weareforgoodcommunity.com. You're welcome to come. We have 1,500 nonprofit professionals there who are literally sharing what they know, asking for what they need, giving each other mental health support, and it's been revolutionary because we all need community to thrive because we cannot do this on our own. So Impact Uprising, I gotta say this, starts when one passionate individual comes together with others and they create the change they wanna see in the world. And I know you're seeing that. I know you can think right now of people who are deeply passionate in your nonprofit, who are gathering friends. They're talking about you. They invite them to their events. They share about you on social media. Those people need to be gathered and ignited with a toolkit to go further and to gather more. Got a really great episode with Sarah Lomelin. She's the head of Philanthropy Together, which is revolutionizing giving circles. If you are into giving circles, if they help your organization, please go here. They have free resources for you. But these are not people anymore that just want to write a check and walk away. They want to get into it. They want to use what they have, what they know, because they want to end systemic problems. So you already have what you need to do this. These people are in your community right now. Start with those rabid fans. Look in your data. Who's opening all your emails? Who's following you on social? Who's coming to all of your different events? Who's given more than 2 or 3 times this year? People are raising their hands, but sometimes we just don't see them because we're only looking at the giving metric. And the giving metric is not the behavioral metric. The behavioral metric is really where you're gonna find your rabid fans. Okay, number 6, humanize tech and the digital experience. Whoa, Nelly, guys, are we into a tech revolution right now? I know you guys are feeling it, and if you're anything like us, we work in it, we always feel like we're behind the 8 ball. But tech and innovation is going to allow us to get to our people faster, but we have to keep our humanity in the process. And so what we've learned is there is something that AI cannot replicate at all, and we do it really good in nonprofit, and it's show empathy. And so the way that we're able to bring empathy into the way that we connect on tech is going to be revolutionary for the way that people are drawn to our missions. So start with centering and solving for the human experience before you just go buy a new tech service. If you think, you know, our CRM's a little janky, we should just scrap it and go do another one. Please don't. It's an expensive, long time overhaul. Do an audit of your program. Do an audit of your communication channels. Look and see where people are hanging out. See where they're getting their energy from and what they're really gravitating toward, and invest there. I think everybody should have a marketing tech stack. What's your email? What's your email software? What are you doing for social? What are you doing to keep a content calendar? All of these things sound really overwhelming, and they can't be done by one person, but there's great tech that we can employ that will do this for us. And then we really, if you start to use empathy-based words, which I think, I had a CEO, I don't know if anybody can relate, in my healthcare foundation that said, Becky, you can write my speeches, but do not put any adjectives or adverbs in it. And I was like, congratulations, sir, you are now a robot. Because people do not relate to a robot speaking to them. But when they say, Tracy, my gosh, what are you passionate about? Because I want to tell you that I am all here for women's empowerment. I fund girls in education, and that just gets me really lit up. That's much different than, please give to women's empowerment movement so we can help more girls. I want people to know I have daughters, and it's very important to me. Sorry, I'm hitting my microphone, right? And you're giving me the look, sorry. But it's important to me for people to know that. And when you can center that in your tech, guess what? It draws people to you. Leaders, like, get out there in your thought leadership. Get on your LinkedIn and talk about what's important to you. Talk about what you're seeing in your nonprofit right now. Tag people. Put some hashtags on there. I guarantee you, you're going to start gathering people. And if LinkedIn's not your playground, do it somewhere. Start an email newsletter, you know, with your board members. Ask them to share it. Just do something to get your voice out there, because we got to humanize our tech. Please check out Tim Lockey. He's doing the Human Stack, which is crazy. I'm going to back it up so you can get a picture of it. He has built some tech around how to build humanity into nonprofit without burning people out. He used to work at Salesforce and decided this is too overwhelming. We got to build something that works for everybody. He's got a great episode on our podcast. So make your automations human. If you get somebody that subscribes to your newsletter, please just put in there very quickly, "Hi friend, so glad you're here. I'm Becky." Peace sign emoji. You know, we're gonna make it really real. Put those automations in the queue so you don't have to worry about them. And understand the barriers before replacing your tech tools. It may not be a tech problem. It may be a human problem. It may be an efficiency problem. Okay, be a change agent. Everybody feeling strong? Everybody feeling like they can do this? Y'all, it kind of feels like at times the world is burning down around us right now, right? I think the world needs us more than ever. That is what I've come away with this. After 400 conversations, the world needs our voice. They need our heart. They need to know what we're seeing on the front lines of these missions. And we've got to see it as a serious stewardship of the world and our mission to talk about these things. Develop your clear vision. Leverage your data and technology. Let's talk about the harm that's being done, the opportunity that exists, the partnerships and collaborations. Let's talk about the things we need. And once we start talking about that, I'm telling you, I keep saying it'll be drawn to you like a magnet, but people want to hear from you. And if it's not on digital, write an op-ed for your local paper. Find a way to get something in your newsletter or in something local, because the issues that are hitting all of us right now are deep and heavy. And I point to Jonathan Greenblatt. He opened up, I think, our season 6. He's the president of Anti-Defamation League in Washington, D.C. And my friend Jonathan is bold. He goes after the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving. He goes after Jeff Bezos and Amazon for putting anti-Semitic books out in the Amazon queue. And guess what? He keeps lifting his voice, and he got change on all of these. Amazon pulled their books. The Nets ended up suspending Kyrie Irving. There was an entire education that the ADL gave Kyrie Irving on anti-Semitism because he's lifting his voice. Nonprofit executive director right there, an incredible human. I encourage you to go listen to his podcast episode because it's all about hope and unity and leaving into this. So understand your why. Check in, please, on your mental health and don't do more than you're taxed to do. Find your community and read and listen. Don't just be a talker. Find people who are also talking about these same things. Link arms. We're going to go faster if we link together. Oh, great transition, Becky. Lock arms for impact. I'm going really fast, Joni, don't worry. Be accountable to your impact by locking arms with others. It's going to help us go faster than ever before because we can create systemic impact faster together. What do I mean by this? Know your niche impact. I think nonprofits have stayed away from niche too much, and we're seeing it's the thing that's trending right now. If you are a homeless organization that works in the heart of Atlanta, you're only serving children between the ages of this and this that are in a minority population, brag about that. Talk about that. People want to know that that is your specific population because there are people like me that say, oh, I give to kids. Oh, I give. I care about homeless teens. I want to know more about that. Oh, you're helping marginalized? Yeah, I'm going to give to that even more because it's enriching and deepening your mission. So really focus on those results. Look at your data and say, who's doing this well? Can we do it? Do we need to do it alone or do we need to bring somebody along? And create these really impactful partnerships by partnering with people in different ways. Partnerships are no longer, here's our gala event, here's our proposal, can you buy a table? No more. You guys got power. And I want you to know that. You have power in your data, in your followers, in your story, in your mission, in your brand, in your website, in the experts on your staff. Use it. That is what you're bringing to the table. You're not just bringing an event to the table, and that is what big brands want to partner with right now. So here's an example. This is Anne-Marie Doherty, CEO of the Bob Woodruff Foundation, which does veteran support to veterans. And she says, okay, we're going to go after the NFL. Not a small goal at all, but she pitched that exact framework. And on this podcast, she talks about this is exactly how we pitched the NFL. We did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. And they threw out the old partnership model and adopted this brand new way of not being Oliver, I say Oliver, I'm into theater, saying, please, sir, may I have some more with my bowl. It's more about, hey, we have something to offer and we think we can be an extension of your brand and you can be an extension of ours and this is how we're gonna show up for you. Please check out that episode, it'll give you an incredible framework. All right, so also, last thing I'm gonna say, know you have power in this. I know it feels often like we don't in nonprofit, we do. What we're doing with impact on the front lines, what we're doing to change lives, it's gonna give us power and we need to take it and run with it because our people deserve it. Last one, and I'm gonna go through it fast. Please normalize your rest. This remains a completely countercultural act for every sector and probably everybody that's working in capitalism somewhere. Leaders, we need you to give your staff time off. We need you to give them mental health breaks. We need you to give them time if they need to go to therapy. We want you to model this by opening your door and not working and not checking your email at 6 o'clock at night or asking people to be on the clock. We are burned out. We do an entire mental health week on the podcast every October, and all we do is talk about how do we work through this. And I could tell you, I shared my nervous breakdown story first on the podcast of what happened to me from a mental health perspective from working a nonprofit grind for 20 years. And it's hard, and I could tell you, I have had at least 82 people, I'm counting, 82 people have reached out to me to share their stories. So there's a great case study on how New Profit has given their entire staff a week off. And this is, I'm gonna leave this here because that's the end of our presentation, but how do we start creating policies and procedures around this? How do we start giving staff the day off after a huge event? Why are you coming back in? You just took the whole night or the Saturday off. We need a day off. And guess what? What you're gonna get from loyalty and staff is gonna be so much bigger than that 8 hours that you just squeezed out of them. Set those healthy boundaries, be supportive, allow people to be human beings, because this work is hard. There we go. Joni? Okay, time for questions. 5 minutes for questions, perfect. Anybody here? Becky, did you take a breath in 35 minutes? Don't think I did. Yeah, hi. Mm-hmm. You know what I love so much about giving circles is they're so grassroots and community based. And like, I'm sure you guys get this, but when you try to push down an idea to someone and to a group of people, it never works. But when you ask the community what they want and how they want to facilitate it and grow it, and they build it, it has, I mean, the way that they're building organic community locally is absolutely staggering. And so I talked about the niche, how talking about your niche. We have, like, women specifically are very big into giving circles. They gather with their lady friends, they bring them along, and they're very much into, okay, we're gonna eradicate juvenile diabetes and this particular thing. Go find your moms, go find your mom groups who are around this on Facebook, on email, on Twitter, wherever they are, and they gather them. And then they co-build this giving circle, and they set the parameters, and they set the stewardship, and they say thank you, and they share story, and then they share it with everybody. You can imagine the ripple that's happening, and I mean, it's not driven by a nonprofit, so they're driving their own progress, but yet they might be tethered to a nonprofit if they're with JDRF, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. They may be giving a portion of that to that, you know? And so these are like little impact warrior armies that are getting created and giving circles, and I am really excited about them. Sarah actually just had a big TED Talk that I think has like over 1 million views on it, because what Giving Circles is doing to uplift community giving is internationally staggering. So, and if you want a connection, let me know and I'll totally connect you to her. Yes?
Question from online.
Yes.
We're a small grassroots organization with only one full-time staff member. Do you have a recommendation on how to grow sustainably, fiscally, and operationally?
One member at a grassroots, full-time?
Yeah.
Okay, the question was, how does someone who's a one-person shop, grassroots organization, grow fiscally, grow mission, grow sustainably and operationally? Okay, can we just give a shout out to our friend out there right now who is a one-person shop? Okay, first of all, whoever you are, God bless you. 2, come find me immediately. I'm going to build you a playlist of everything that I think I can do to help you. I've got resources for you. 3, practical for everybody. Give yourself grace. 2, you need to batch and compartmentalize your time as best as you can. And you need to figure out how to flex the heck out of your board and how to flex the heck out of your volunteers. You need a group of mighty rabid fans around you, and you need to be parsing this out. And I would say be very intentional with who you put on the board. What do you need? Do you need fiscal support? We need to get an accountant. We need to get an investment person here. We need to get somebody who works at a bank. If you need support on the operations side, who's working an engineer, who's working in IT systems, I think that there are ways that you can work that without working yourself to death. And again, normalize your rest, because I think it's really hard to normalize rest when you are a one-person shop. And also, please come into our community, because I can hook you up with so many one-person shops who are trying to work it out, and you just need to find people, because I think that was number 5, community is core, and it's going to help you get further.